Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again with yet another Across the Timeways card review, and we have the final Demon Hunter cards to review. There's 8 of them, there's a lot of them, but we have a returning archetype, No-minion, like all spell or I guess location or weapons or whatever. Demon Hunter comes back and my god, it looks scary. And we also have like timeout / ice block for Demon Hunter. They're getting some crazy stuff this set. We're gonna go over these cards. You wanna win these cards, we're giving away 2 regular pre-orders and 3 mega bundles out of my pocket. To enter the giveaway, like and comment in the video, link down description below, the one with that thumbnail over there. Be subscribed to the channel. Every 1,000 subs we get until all the cards are revealed, I'll add another mega bundle, so hit that sub button, make me go Baroque. So let's start off with, yeah, a pretty spooky card here in the Doomsday Prepper. He's getting ready for the end of times. The 5 mana, 5/4 minion, and it reads, Outcast, your hero is immune until your next turn. So this card does absolutely nothing unless it's on the left or right side of your hand. It is purely an outcast minion, and this is just timeout, right? That's the old paladin card, timeout, you're immune till your next turn, so there's no way your hero can be targeted, damaged, anything on your turn, right? And once it becomes your turn, I think you could still take like fatigue damage, or if you know there's like a type of like bomb or whatever type of thing, like the Curse of Rapham thing, right? Like that's one of the techs in Wild. I believe it should still be the same style of thing. And for 5 mana, that's a pretty expensive effect. Particularly, it has to be outcasted. And a deck that typically wants to go immune is something that's like stalling for something bigger later. And typically, they don't have a ton of cheap cards to manipulate this to be outcasted and give you that immunity. But if I've learned anything in Hearthstone history, any card that can make your hero immune for a turn will see play at some point. I don't think any of these cards have ever not seen play. It won't stop like end of game effects, by the way, like destroying your hero. You will still blow up. But other than that, yeah, this is a good defensive option. So I'm gonna give it a 3, although I think on paper it sucks. 5 mana do nothing unless, you know, it's outcasted. Then even then it needs to just give you immunity, and you need it for a reason. It might not see play right away, but these cards just always find a way somehow, right? And it's just the main thing, it's 5 mana. That's pretty rough. You can run 2 of them and you could stall the game out, but I'm gonna give it a 3 just for that reason. These always see play, and even in Wild, I'll give it a 3. Even though I don't know where it would go, like the Outcast Demon Hunter, they want to play way cheaper stuff, it doesn't work there. I see timeout on a card, I'm gonna say it sees play at some point, somewhere. It just typically finds a way. So yeah, 3 across the board for that. We have the Perennial Serpent, an 8 mana, 7/9 rush beast, and it costs 4 less if a minion is dormant, and that includes the enemy. Any minion, doesn't matter if it's your own, the enemy. So you got like Magtheridon on the board. This will cost what is it, 4 mana? That's a pretty cheap, you know, big beast, but something's got to be dormant. The main way to do that right now that I think of, besides playing dormant minions, you got red card, really cheap option, or the new, what I think is like a Mark combo card where he makes something dormant for like 1,000,000, 10,000 turns or whatever. So you could do something like that and cheat out a rush beast. I just don't think it's probably worth it, right? Like, even if you get it out and it's a big thing, it's just, I don't know, I don't see that in today's game as being worth hard running for that payoff. Like, you got to do quite a bit. Maybe if you're just naturally have a lot of dormant stuff going on, you just slot this into a deck, or dormant super popular. Like, it's kind of a cool tech against Ancient of Yore, which is pretty popular, so that they play Ancient of Yore, my Serpent's gonna be cheap, I could punish you for that. And that card is pretty popular, so you never know. It might just be justifiable in that situation for Demon Hunter. It's a really interesting one to think about, right? Not only could it just be a punish for your opponent, but it could just be something you build your deck around. So I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't think it has 0 merit. I do think it's probably not worth it, but yeah, with a card like Agent of Yore and all your other stuff going on, it could work out. And you know the deal in Wild, you don't really play much dormant minions or anything like that. So yeah, it's going to get a 1 for me there. Next we have a card that Wild players might actually be really interested in, the Aeon, dude, I can't ever say words. I know it's like Aeon Flux. I'm gonna go with Aeon Rend, the 4 mana spell with rewind. So we got our rewind card here of deal 4 damage to 2 random enemies. So I don't think this can hit the same thing twice. I believe it has to be two different things. Like it says 2 random enemies. We'd normally be like 2 enemies or something. I don't know. Maybe it can hit the same thing twice. Regardless, it'd be cool, pretty cool with Jace, right? This recasting would be nice. Plus, you can rewind it if it doesn't hit what you like, and that's 4 mana, deal 8, and 4 of that can, I believe, just 4 of that can go face. So that's not too much to scoff at. This is probably one of the better rewind cards in particular. Yeah, you can rewind it and get a better result on an effect like this, but you can even set it up to just guarantee hit some good stuff. And 4 damage is not the greatest threshold at 4 mana. There's a lot of like 5 health minions or divine shield, stuff like that already, but it kills Xavius, so that's on 4. It's pretty nuts, but it doesn't even kill Elise. So there's that. It's probably a 2 out of 5 in standard and wild, but it's closer than a lot of these rewind cards have been to me. Like the fan of Knives style card for Rogue, I wasn't super sold on, but again, that could work out. It's hard to say. And again, this does scale with spell damage too, all that, and it is fell, so there are synergies. You can discount this, like with that card from the mini set way back when that has seen almost no play. That's a pretty nice card to discount with that, which I'm waiting for that fell archetype to work. It's just missing pieces. This could be a 3. I'm gonna go with a 2, but it absolutely could be a meta card. So I'll give it a 2 out of 5 in standard, a 2 in wild, because I just like Jace. I think it's a cool card, even though fell DH really has been a thing for a while there. But yeah, we'll say it doesn't quite see play. And we have a new weapon here, the Time Lost Glaive, a 1 mana 2/2 weapon with Death Rattle. Get a random demon from the past. That could be so many terrible things. That could suck so much. Could just be like the Death Skip, a 0 mana 1/1, or there's just so many bad demons. There's so few, like wild cards just have such a large scope. And yeah, you get a 1 mana 2/2 weapon. It deals 4. That's not bad. You might just play this in an aggressive deck just to have a cheap weapon. You don't even really care about the demon. That's the way I would see this seeing play. Like there are some demon synergies we'll see in a second here. But overall, I feel like this is just, it could be a good smork weapon, and maybe the demon I get is playable, maybe it's not, but it is still 1 mana, deal 4, and of course I could hero power, make that deal even more. It could just be good. Again, we're going to be talking about No-minion Demon Hunter. It could be just kind of that filler. So even though the death rattle in the card is like, I still think it's probably a playable card, and I'll still give it a 3 out of 5 in standard. I'll go with it could almost be like in the aggro Demon Hunter and wild. Like I don't think you're cutting Magnifying Glaive for this. No, that draws cards and this adds cards to your hand. It's probably a 2 in wild, but even though, again, the death rattle I'm looking at, like, oh man, it's not great. It's still a 1 mana 2/2 weapon in a class that likes to go face and do some pretty good things. So yeah, I think it could have a chance, especially in this whole No-minion package. So let's start talking about that, starting off with the Hounds of Fury, a 4 mana spell with summon 2/3/3 demons. If your deck has no minions, so you could play weapons, you can play locations, you can play hero cards, you just can't play minions. You can't have minions in your deck. Although if the rogue is played and shuffled the king into your deck, that's kind of a counter to that, right? That's a minion. Anyways, they attack the lowest health enemy. So these could go face, these could trade into a minion. That's pretty nice, right? And I like the demons themselves. Each one has their own separate art. We have the Sargeran Fellhound, and they're both the same name, but they have different artwork. And I like when they go above and beyond like that, right? The 2 separate artworks, so really cool. Again, do you want to play this if your deck has minions? No, this is purely going to be a no-minion deck, but I think there's some validity to it. It's a pretty aggressive, scammy looking archetype, and that means it can win, right? That typically means it can win when you're cheating mana and dealing damage. As you'll see, we can cheat some serious mana later. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5 in standard. In wild, there's even more no-minion stuff going on there, so that could bring that whole archetype back. You never know. I'll give it a 2 there, where I'm apprehensive to say that that archetype will see play, even though there's even more support for it there, because again, you got to be so cutthroat and fast and wild, and that deck was never super cutthroat and fast, and I don't see that happening here, but it's closer. But I'll give it a 2 out of 5 in wild. But yeah, I think this could see some play in standard. We also have Solitude, the 2 mana spell. There is no spell school on this, with Discover a Minion. If your deck has no minions, reduce the cost of any in your hand by 2. So if you've generated any demons, which that weapon we showed earlier could be discounted, and maybe some other cards we'll see, you get some pretty good mana cheat, and you get to get it on this card itself, right? You discover any minion. It could be your class or neutral. It could be anything. So on average, your discover is not going to be great, but you're going to get an automatic -2 mana on it, plus whatever else you have got going on, whatever else you have generated, which is probably pretty good. Mass mana cheat, you know? I've been known to say that that's pretty good. So again, I'll give it a 3. I think this archetype can work, and I think this is I mean, you're gonna have to play all these cards if you want it to work for the most part, and it's relatively cheap. It's some value. Mana cheat 3 out of 5 in standard, and you know the deal. It's too slow and wild, and even though it cheats some mana, I'm gonna give it a 2 for that format. And well, we also have the Lasting Legacy, a 3 mana rare spell. No spell school on this as well. You give your hero +4 attack, which is definitely never worth playing on its own. However, if your deck has no minions, give any in hand +4 attack. So anything you have generated will get a huge attack buff. And let's say I got a random Illidari, that's going to be a 12/8 Illidari that could go face, and you'll see we could possibly get that. This is, and again, it's damage, it scales with your weapons and all of that. Smork, smork, smork. I do feel like this will be a pretty aggressive, scammy archetype, and this definitely goes with it pretty well. So again, I'm going across the board on a lot of these. 3 out of 5 in standard, a 2 out of 5 in wild, where I don't want to give any of these a 1 in wild because no minion DH already exists there. For that reason, I think it might have a chance, more of a shot than the vast majority of cards we go over for wild. So I'll say, even though it's unlikely, that you never know, it could see some play. And lastly, the whole thing that tries to really pay off this, we have the legendary location, the Eternal Hold. This is 6 mana, 3 durability. You get a demon that costs 5 or more. This is not discover. This is just purely random. It could be from any class, your own, neutral, whatever. If your deck has no minions, your next one costs 0. So you got like an Illidari Inquisitor, right? Even if you didn't generate it from this, if that's in your hand, you can play it for 0. It doesn't have to be the demon you get from this. It can be any demon you have made. So you can cheat out some pretty absurd stuff, get some big stats on the board, and this has a lot of durability, right? You get 3 uses out of that. That's 3 big mana cheat swings. And I almost want to say, well, you could play the card that could copy your location. Well, that's a minion. So you could do that. You just need to draw it, right? This isn't a start of game effect where if your deck started with no minions, so you could try and get lucky that way. And you could also, again, get screwed by like Garona, for example. So there are implications with this, but mass mana cheat, it's just, you don't get to discover. That hurts so much. Imagine you could discover, and if you beat Demon Hunter, there's so many good like big demons, and you don't have like other classes bringing it down. And I am a little bit skeptical on this package working as a whole. That's why I'm going 3 on like the entire thing. I think it could work, but the fact it's all random. All the stuff that you can get that I can tell, maybe there's some cards I'm not thinking of. Like I believe there's the Outcast card, like Blind Box is it called? You can play that, Outcast, and discover those, and then use those, right? That's a spell. I think that's still in standard. I think. So there's still like other options out there. It's not just this expansion. There is prior support. But yeah, I don't know if you can really rely on what this location gives you to really win the game, but maybe it works out. Also, I think you could put the Fabled Legendary in, right? Because the minion disappears, so it should work. So that whole package could go into there. So maybe that's something, I don't know. Again, I'll give it a 3 out of 5 in standard, a 2 out of 5 in wild. I'm going the same across the board. And it's cool to see this coming back, and Demon Hunter fans will probably be, happy that it looks pretty aggressive. You kind of want to hit people in the face with a lot of these cards. And yeah, that's what Demon Hunter is kind of all about. So there you go. All the Demon Hunter cards. Let me know what you think about them in the comments down below. Tune in tomorrow. We will have some more cards to review. I can't remember what class it is, so you'll have to tune in and find out. You won't look at the library and the schedule. No, you will just blindly tune in and you know, make me go Baroque and all that. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.